If you've been around for a while, then you know how much I care about financial freedom for all. One thing that often gets in the way of that is debt. That's why I'm happy to announce that I've partnered with an amazing organization called Juno. Juno helps you get lower interest rates by using the power of group negotiation. It is a completely free resource that you can use to secure lower interest rates on new and existing student loans. Head to the link in the episode show notes to find out more. This is the Dreamers Podcast, episode 17, with Cleo Childress from Cleo Yoga Finance. Today is May 18th, 2021.
You need to rejuvenate your mind and your body so you can have the confidence and the strength to really navigate through your money journey, your debt-free journey, because we all need our bodies and our minds to be in a healthy state to really make the best decisions for ourselves.
Hello, world. Welcome to the Dreamers Podcast. I am Stephanie Anne-Lyse, also known as Anne-Lyse Wealth. I am a financial coach and an author. I self-published my first book, Dream of Legacy, a guide to help dreamers reach financial independence and build generational wealth. In this podcast, I'll have conversations with experts and thought leaders who dare to follow their dreams. You'll hear about their journey and their money stories. I hope it inspires you, dreamers out there, to live life on your own terms.
Come on, dreamers, let's change the world!
This episode is brought to you by Dream of Legacy. Check out dreamoflegacy.com for resources to assist you on your journey to financial independence. Before we get into today's episode, please go into Apple Podcast and leave us a review and rating so more amazing people like you can discover the podcast. All right, let's get back to today's episode. Hello. Welcome back to the Dreamers Podcast. If you are an OG listener, thank you for showing up week after week. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. I'm your host, Anne-Lyse Wealth. Today on the podcast, I am chatting with Cleo Childress. Cleo is the creator of Cleo Yoga Finance. She's a financial educator, a yoga instructor, and transformational speaker. She mixes yoga and finance to help transform mindsets and create healthier financial lifestyle. Cleo is also the host of the Financially Free podcast. On this episode, we talk about the mindset necessary to build wealth, how yoga and meditation can be useful on the path to financial freedom. Cleo shares her story as a teen mom and how she got out of debt and became a financial educator. We touch on the money habits and mindset that can help you make wiser decisions and so much more. All right, here's Cleo Childress. Cleo Childress, welcome to the Dreamers Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it, and I'm excited to talk with you today.
Cleo, can you tell us a little bit about you and what you do?
Yes, so I am Cleo Childress, owner of Cleo Yoga Finance. So I'm a financial educator and a yoga instructor, and I mix the yoga and finance to transform mindsets and create healthier financial lifestyles. I'm also a podcast host and producer of the Financially Free with Cleo podcast. And it's a show where we have real and raw money conversations with everyday people and just encouraging more people to have those conversations in their own lives and also take action as well.
So you mix yoga and finance. That's quite creative. How did you come up with that concept?
Yes, it started from my own personal journey. So when I was very overwhelmed with my finances several years ago, and I was very depressed about it, very embarrassed and ashamed about my money decisions in life, I just didn't know how to start to get out of it. I felt that I was just in such a bad financial position. I just didn't think that there was no way out. But on my journey, I started practicing yoga and meditation. So I realized that me challenging myself on my yoga mat gave me the ability to dig deeper to really understand my money behaviors, to understand things that I was in denial about for a long time. Because sometimes we can think that some of our money habits aren't a big deal, but then once we dig deeper, we start to realize that, yes, it's a big deal. And, I had all these goals and dreams that I wanted to accomplish, but I realized my daily money habits was one of the things that I was experiencing that was holding me back. So me practicing yoga and meditation helped me clear my mind, helped me think better and make more wise decisions. And that transferred over in my financial journey. So I was able to dig deeper and really understand the money habits that I need to change, what needed to be let go of, and what valuable experiences and habits I needed to add into my life to really take the action every single day. So that's why I mix yoga and finance, because it's not just about learning how to budget or reading this book. No, we really have to understand what we've been through, starting from our childhood, what we've experienced as an adult, and really understanding that self-care, the mental health, taking care of our bodies is really going to help us as we navigate through the financial journey.
Wow, so many gems there. So you mentioned that you were overwhelmed with your finances. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I was a teen mom. I had my daughter at 17. I was a first generation college student. So although I had a child really young, I still finished high school on time, still started college on time. But when I started college, that was when I started going into debt with the student loans. And then after that, it was credit cards, and I had car loans, but I wasn't making enough money. And the money that I was making, I wasn't managing it well. So I ended up having cars repossessed, and I had wage garnishments, going into payday loan debt. It was very stressful. And I told myself, I said, look, Cleo, you have someone looking up to you, which is your daughter. And I never learned about money as a child, and I didn't want that to be my daughter's experience. Although kids, they have to make their own life decisions, but I want to feel good to say, at least I did teach her everything that I experienced. I shared my ups and downs, my lessons learned, but I knew I had to change my life for myself, but also for my daughter, so she could be exposed to certain financial information earlier than I was. And that was one of my biggest motivations for getting my life together, was my daughter, because she's watching. So that's when I started to read books and watch videos and also talk to other people. I used to really think that I was the only one struggling with money, because I said no one could have experienced all of the negative financial experiences that I have, and no one could possibly make all the bad money decisions. But what I realized is that everybody has a story, and nobody's life is perfect. And it gave me more confidence to start sharing my own story with people, because that motivated me to say, hey, I know if they made it through their challenges, I know I can too if I do the work.
It's so important to be able to find people that you can identify with to help you get through your struggles. So you said that you wanted your daughter to know more about, or you wanted to teach her what you knew about money. Can you tell us a little bit about what type of, financial education you're giving to your child?
Yeah, so I started with talking to her as we're like in the grocery stores, stores like Walmart or Target, just when us going in the store, just looking at price tags, telling her, look, for these different items, this is how much it costs. But you also have to pay taxes. So we would get to the cash register when we're checking out, she would see them scanning the items and the total getting higher, and then looking at the receipts and showing her these are how much the items cost. And this is how much taxes we had to pay. And we've relocated several times due to my job over the years. So I had to explain to her how, taxes can be different in different cities. Sales taxes can be different in different cities. So just starting with the basic everyday things that we do, whether if it's in person or shopping online, showing her how much things cost, even showing her my pay stub. So when I was working different contracts and different jobs, I would show her my pay stub to see how much I'm making, how much the taxes being taken out, deductions I've had, even when I've had contracts where it shows I was paid as a 1099 and they didn't take anything out, and I had to be responsible for setting aside taxes on my own. It may seem like a lot to teach to a child, but they already are learning so much every single day. So I really feel it's important for us to not underestimate their ability to learn about money. So everything that I would do every day, from paying bills, from checking my checking accounts, putting money into my savings account. And I taught her when I opened up her first checking account, her first savings account, her first investment account. I sat down with her and have those weekly money meetings. So just like I'm single, so I have my weekly money dates with myself, but I also have them with my daughter so we can talk about her finances. So she's a 17-year-old senior in high school, and she has a part-time job at Panera Bread. So when she first started getting her job, I had to sit her down and talk to her about her pay stubs, but she felt confident, a little bit more confident, because she had seen pay stubs before. She started to understand exactly, when you work and you earn money, you have to take action and manage it well for it to really work for you. So just having those regular everyday conversations and not being afraid to share with her things that I didn't do so well at, but also sharing the wins as well.
You mentioned the trip to the grocery store and the taxes. And I remember when my 6-year-old realized that there were taxes for the first time. She was at the checkout. She had purchased a toy, and it turned out to be a little more expensive than she thought. And so she looked at me, and I was like, well, yeah, that's called taxes. So, I do agree that it's important to talk to our children about money. And it really depends on the child, right? But you have to meet them where they are and then just keep educating them. I love that you do that with your child.
I like that you said meet them where they are, because, and I know sometimes money isn't always fun to talk about, but sometimes, it's serious, and sometimes you can get creative with your kids and make it fun. But my daughter had similar reactions, when she first started to learn about having to pay taxes. She said, who invented taxes? There's no way around it. That's why it's best to learn, educate yourself about it. And even when she got her first job, I still have to pay, taxes, but I'm a child. And I said, doesn't matter. Still have to learn how to manage your money. So it just makes me feel good that she's being exposed and gets to see and experience this stuff way earlier than I did.
Yeah, and that's going to give her a leg up. So that's great. On your website, you mentioned that you, in addition to being a teen mom, you also overcame depression and being homeless. I mean, that's just really impressive that you fought through all these challenges to be where you are today. And I think someone listening might be going through similar challenges, especially with the effect of this pandemic. What kind of advice do you have for anyone that's struggling with their finances or mental health?
Yes. So the first step is to not be in denial. Everyone isn't in denial, but sometimes we can be in denial about our situation and we may not even realize it. So having some time where you sit down, turning off the TV, put your phone on, do not disturb, and just really sit there and think about, okay, what do I want my life to look like? What is my why? For the goals that I want to reach, whether if it's, buying a home, starting a business, paying off debt, dig deeper and ask yourself, what do I really want? Not what someone else wants for me, but what do I want? What makes me happy? What brings me joy? What makes me feel good? And then also making a list of the things that doesn't make you feel so good. It really helps to get it out on paper. Yes, you can type it out on a document or in your notes on your phone, but there is power in writing things out. Doesn't have to be perfect or organized, but just get out your thoughts. What makes you happy? What makes you feel good? What do you like to do? And writing out the things in your life that you don't really feel so good about. And then that's going to help you really create an action plan to stay on track, because as you're going through your journey, there are going to be days that feel energized, inspiring, motivating. You feel great. But there's going to be times where you don't feel as motivated. Unexpected things may happen where it could kind of throw you off track. So it really helps to go back to your why. That way it can continue to help you stay on track or get back on track if you've fallen off. So that first step is setting time aside to really get clear. Now, this may take a few times. You may not get it all accomplished in that first sit down with yourself, but set some time every week just to check in with yourself and make sure you are really being honest with yourself and even being taking that next step to share it with a close friend that you really trust. Sometimes, yes, it's great to sit still and talk to ourselves, but it really helps to at least have one person you can trust to get your thoughts out. Not necessarily get feedback, but maybe you just want to vent and just get it out to someone that you trust.
If you've been around for a while, then you know how much I care about financial freedom for all. One thing that often gets in the way of that is debt. That's why I'm happy to announce that I've partnered with an amazing organization called Juno. Juno helps you get lower interest rates by using the power of group negotiation. It is a completely free resource that you can use to secure lower interest rates on new and existing student loans. Head to the link in the episode show notes to find out more. Sunday, Skincare Day, is one of the ways I keep my sanity in these crazy times. Germino is an all-natural, Black-owned skincare brand carefully handcrafted by parents who could not find the proper care solutions to address their family skin problems. All Germino products are made of organic and high-quality ingredients, meticulously chosen to give your skin the smooth results and the glow it deserves.
It seems that taking control is like a recurring theme in what you're saying, what you have to do to get out of whatever challenges or situations that you're in. And I truly believe that there's like a mindset shift that happens when you realize that no matter the situation that you're in, you can actually change it if you just take control of it.
Yeah.
So you were in debt and you decided to take control of your finances. How did you become a financial educator?
Yeah, so it definitely started from my own journey, but I didn't always plan on it. So when I went to college, I studied accounting, but I was most of my, corporate work experiences in insurance industry, handling insurance claims. If there's tornadoes, mudslides, hurricanes, those are the type of claims I investigated with my corporate job. But once I started to realize I needed to change my own life, I used to start talking about it just on my social media, like on Facebook, on Instagram, or just having conversations with friends. And I would have people ask me, hey, Cleo, how did you do this? Or how are you working on this? But honestly, I did not feel experienced enough to really teach other people. But what I learned is, yes, you can go to school and get certifications and degrees, and those are great as well, but there's a lot you can teach from personally experiencing some things. So it just started from me sharing on social media. People would ask me lots of questions about it, and I would start helping people just for free. It wasn't something I was trying to start a business at, but I started to naturally see how my story was connecting with other people, and the tips and the strategies that I used to get more control of my finances actually started to help other people. And that's when I realized that, hey, you know what? I think I have something here, because I don't like to do things just to make money or anything like that. I actually like to make an impact in someone's life, just like other people have poured into me and made an impact in mine. So that's when I decided to start helping other people as a business, having one-on-one clients and actually helping people dig deeper, not just the surface level work, but letting people know that in order to reach those goals and reach the lifestyle you want to live, you have to dig deeper. And that can get really uncomfortable. When we are on social media, a lot of us tend to, share the great things, but sometimes it's hard to share when things are going wrong. And I think when you share those things, not saying you have to share every detail of your whole life, but I think sharing some of those stories can help other people understand that, hey, sometimes things don't go the way we anticipated, but that's okay because we don't have to stay there. So that's when I started to actually teach others as a financial educator through workshops, speaking engagements, and having one-on-one financial coaching clients and helping other people get results, because that was something that I needed, but I was afraid to ask for the help. I just was scared to reach out and tell someone that I was struggling. And I think some people feel that way as well. It's hard to, talking about finance is very personal and very intimate. So sometimes people may not want people to know that they're struggling. But what you realize is that you change your life in a big way that's really going to help you out in the long run if you be honest with yourself and get the help that you need instead of trying to figure it out by yourself.
So you said that your business really started after you started sharing kind of like your financial experience on social media. What prompted you to do that?
Yeah. So what prompted me to share it was I felt that someone else needs to hear and see what I'm doing. I wanted people to know that, you know what, I'm not perfect. I had friends and family, just people that I've known over the years that will assume that everything is perfect or I'm doing well. And I wanted people to know that, hey, I may have had some accomplishments in my life, but everything isn't perfect. And I don't want the responsibility of being perfect at all. So I want you to know that, hey, this is some things that I struggled with. And I just knew it was going to help someone else, because when I started to meet people and hear their stories, that's what gave fire in my soul to really take the action. So I said, you know what, if I can hear these other people's stories and that motivate me to change my own life, I know my story can help someone else. I used to underestimate all the things that I had experienced. Oh, it's not a big deal. Or it's not that transformational. But when I started to share little pieces, people were inboxing me or sending me emails saying, hey, Cleo, thank you so much for sharing this today. Because sometimes when you post things, you don't know you never know who's really reading it or watching it, but you never know who it really touches. So if people take the time out to send an email or send a DM just to say, thank you for sharing it. Oh, I can relate to that. I experienced that too. Or thanks, Cleo. That really helps me today. That let me know that, hey, if it's only one person that it touches, I know I'm going in the right direction. So that's what helped me start sharing, is because I knew that was one of the things that helps me, was me hearing other people share their stories. And I think we all should start sharing more, having these conversations and sharing our wins, and also sharing things that may be perceived as a negative experience or a failure. Even if we fail at something, we can still learn something from that experience. It's going to help us in the next opportunity.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I feel like if you made the mistake and you can prevent someone else from making the same mistake just by sharing your story, it's definitely worth it. And in terms of finances, I feel like if we had more open conversations about the challenges, the mistakes we made, then we could definitely help more people or prevent them from making those mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So how long have you been a full-time entrepreneur?
So in 2019, I didn't do any work. I didn't do any work in the insurance industry, the whole 2019. And then in 2020, I got a call from one of the firms I used to do contracts with. This was in March when COVID really started to hit hard and a lot of businesses shut down. And I got a call and they said, hey, are you available? Because we have an assignment to handle claims related to businesses shutting down due to COVID. So all these businesses were filing the claim so they could collect business income on a claim. 2019, I didn't do any, and I told myself I was retired from that work. But they said, you could do it from home. So I said, you know what? I'll go ahead and do it since I could do it from home. I'm full-time working for myself. But last year I did it for a few months only because I could do it from home.
Yeah, if the opportunity just lands on your lap and you can take advantage of it, why not?
I said, hey, I'll take the extra money for a few months. Sure. So still a full-time entrepreneur now.
We talked about your financial challenges. For anyone listening right now, anybody that's in debt, that's not sure how to get out of it, what are the next 3 things that they can do right now to change course?
The next 3 things they should do is take some time to actually see what you actually owe. So make that list, get your pen and paper or a spreadsheet or whatever you prefer, and just write out all the debts that you owe. This includes people too. So if you owe friends and family, add them to the list because you want to get to a point where you don't owe a dime to anyone. So make a list of all your debts from smallest to largest and just take one debt at a time. Now, there may be some debts that you may currently be paying on. If you have a car note or if you have, credit cards that are open and active, you may have some debts that you're actively making monthly payments on. Continue to make those monthly payments, but start with that first debt and just go ahead and start paying it off. Next, you want to look at your income and your expenses because when you're paying off debt, you're going to have to either increase your income, decrease your expenses, or a little bit of both. Sometimes you can look at your expenses to see, okay, what are you currently paying on? What can be eliminated temporarily or permanently? I know for me, one of my biggest struggles was eating out all the time. And I didn't really think it was a big deal until I looked at my checking account and was adding up my transactions. And I realized I'm spending hundreds of dollars eating out. And that could actually go towards me paying off debt. Now, this is not to say you can never eat out, but you may have to tell yourself, look, you cannot eat out every day. Maybe only do it once every 2 weeks or once a week or once a month, but definitely realizing those areas you overspend or something that could be put on hold until another time, until you really get debt-free or paying down a certain amount of debt. And then the income, looking at your income now, seeing how much you really make, how much money are you bringing home to work with, and finding other ways you can increase income. So sometimes a lot of people's concerns is that, I don't have a lot of time to really do any other work. Well, you can find other ways to increase your income, and it may not necessarily mean you physically have to always show up and be present to earn that money. Maybe on the front end, but you can set up to make some passive income where you can work your full-time job and you can still have some extra side hustles on the side too. But you have to actually sit down and look at those numbers to see what's the best decision for you. How much expenses do you need to decrease? And how much of your income you need to increase so you can have more money to throw at this debt. And just think about it this way. This is not forever. This is just a short period of time. You're not going to have extra side hustles all the time if you don't want to, but this is just to pay down debt or pay off the debt that you have. And the third thing is actually making the time to take the action. So this is going to require you to switch some things up in your routine. You may not have time to scroll on social media as long as you normally do. You may not have time to go out all the time or talk on the phone for long periods of time because you need that time to work or you need that time to actually find other ways, other strategies to help pay off that debt. And I just want to add in a little bonus is the self-care piece. We can work, and we can drive ourselves crazy if we only focus on work. But I want you to make time for relaxation, make time for laughing, make time for smiling, make time for taking breaks. This could be just 10 minutes or an hour because you need to rejuvenate your mind and your body so you can have the confidence and the strength to really navigate through your money journey, your debt-free journey, because we all need our bodies and our minds to be in a healthy state to really make the best decisions for ourselves.
Thank you for sharing these tips. And I really like what you added at the end. When you're tackling a big goal, mindset is so important. You mentioned that it's important to also take time for self-care and make sure that you keep your mind sharp.
Yeah.
If that's okay with you, I will ask you a few rapid fire questions.
Great.
What's a book that changed your perspective on life?
A book that changed my perspective on life is Atomic Habits. For a long time, I heard about this book and bought it, and then I never read it. It just sat and collected dust on my shelf. But one day I kept hearing people talk about it. And I said, okay, you know what? I need to read it. And once I've read it 4 times now, but the reason why I changed my perspective, because it really gave me a deeper connection to my own daily habits and how they really do play a role in the actions that we take every day. We kind of wake up and kind of go through the same routines, but I realized that whatever I'm trying to do in my life, whatever goals I desire to accomplish, the daily habits are either going to push me closer to it or pull me further away. So Atomic Habits by James Clear is an excellent book to start reading if you are someone that really wants to gain more control of your life and the habits that you experience every day.
I keep hearing about that one. I might have to check it out. One thing about money you wish you could tell your younger self?
I would say is investing. I feel that when I was younger, I just thought that I didn't make enough money to invest. But now I realize you don't have to be a millionaire. You don't have to make six figures to invest. You can start investing really small and you can work your way up as your income increases over time. So that's something I would tell my younger self is to invest and start with what you have, but make the time and energy to educate yourself so you can start investing more over time.
Best investment in yourself you ever made?
I would say taking time and money to travel. I love traveling. I know traveling looks a little bit different right now with the pandemic, but I love adventurous experiences and it just makes me happy. So I would say investing in traveling because it's one of my forms of self-care.
Fill in the blanks in 3 words or less. Money to me is
a tool.
What do you want your legacy to be?
For any lives that I've touched, I want people to know that I valued being happy in your own way, not what the media or society or just people in general tell us to live, but I love living life the way I feel is best for me. So that's the legacy I want to live, is for people to see my life and know that, hey, you know what, no matter what she experienced, she lived the life that she felt was best for her. And that's what leads to true happiness and living a fulfilling life, is when you live a life, no matter what other people say, it's the life that you want to live. And I want my legacy to teach other people to do the same, encourage other people to live the life that they desire, because we all get to an age where we realize what makes us happy may not be what other people feel that we should do, but we should do it because it's what we desire.
When you can finally get to a point where you're living for yourself and you're moving based on your own conviction, I think that's just a great place.
Yeah.
What's next for you?
So next for me is I'm continuing to grow and build my new podcast, Financially Free with Cleo. I started it back in November 2020. So I release a new episode every Tuesday. So for me, that's what I'm currently working on. And then I am also working on a new financial course that I'll be releasing this quarter of 2021. So I'm transitioning from one-on-one coaching to group coaching program through the financial course. So that's what's next for me.
If listeners want to learn more about you, where can they find you?
They can go to my website at cleoyogafinance.com. On there, you can learn more about financial coaching, money yoga classes, and my Financially Free with Cleo podcast. And I'm also on social media at Cleo Yoga Finance on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and I'm also on LinkedIn at Cleo Childress.
Thank you for sharing all of this information, and I'll also include that in the episode show notes. Cleo, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of the podcast. On the podcast next week, we have serial connector and author Susan McPherson. We also have this month economist turned designer Safietou Sek. Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Dreamers Podcast. You can find today's show notes and all of the links mentioned during the episode at dreamoflegacy.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, here's what you can do to support me and help more dreamers discover the podcast. Leave a review on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to podcasts. I read every single review and I'll select one review to read on the podcast every month. Subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Share the podcast with your family, friends, and coworkers. And if you really enjoyed today's episode, tag me on Instagram at thedreamers.podcast and let me know what you liked about it. All right, dreamers, that's it for today. I will see you back here next week for another episode of the Dreamers Podcast.
Okay, dreamers. Time to build this legacy.
This podcast is for general information purposes only. It is not intended to provide any tax, legal, financial planning, insurance, accounting, investment, or any other kind of professional advice or services. Please consult with an appropriate tax, financial, or legal professional to receive appropriate advice based on your situation.
Sunday, Skincare Day, is one of the ways I keep my sanity in these crazy times. Germino is an all-natural, Black-owned skincare brand carefully handcrafted by parents who could not find the proper care solutions to address their family skin problems. All Germino products are made of organic and high-quality ingredients, meticulously chosen to give your skin the smooth results and the glow it deserves.